Hey everybody, Kenzie here today, bringing you another speed build for The Sims 4. Today's build is called High Contrast Modern because it is a very modern and geometric build. I will talk about the inspiration of what I wanted to do or what brought this build about here. But first, I want to say thank you to everybody who subscribed last week. You're all absolute angels and wonderful people, and I sincerely appreciate it. I'm just sort of getting started, so I apologize there haven't been any videos for the past couple of days. Still trying to find my bearings and find a sort of schedule that that'll work for me because I do work a full-time job. So bear with me. I appreciate your patience as I work to figure out, how I can bring you new content every day. I do have some builds for sure for you to share or to share with you this week, including this one, and also another very large build that I may have to share in two videos because I spent a long time building it. I was actually up very late last night working on it because it's a really large house. But I wanted to share something that would house like a full 8 Sims. I don't normally build anything that large, so it took a long time to build. And but I will definitely be sharing that video this week as well as some Create a Sim stuff, and maybe even possibly start a challenge. I've just been trying to decide exactly what challenge I want to do. Whether I want to do like um, okay, so there's a challenge that goes by a couple of names. I've seen it referred to as a Privacy challenge or a Breed Out the Ugly challenge, which is just basically you start off with a really ugly sim and you continue their family until you essentially breed out their ugliness. Like, so they're, kind of really kind of funky looking to begin with, and you just kind of keep playing them until and having babies until they look normal. So I've done that challenge before. It was a lot of fun. I've never done the 100 baby challenge, so that's something that I'm considering as well, or maybe even just a regular legacy. If you have any preferences or suggestions for me on like what challenges to do or what you'd most like to see, please let me know in the comments, and I'll definitely take that into consideration if you're interested. So I guess I could talk a little bit about the building that I'm actually building right now. So the inspiration behind this was, well, for one, I knew I wanted to do another modern style home. As I've said before, I know that those are really popular with Simmers, and even though they're not always my favorite style, I actually really, really do like the way this house does turn out. I would definitely sim in this house for sure. And it's called High Contrast Modern because I wanted to do everything in black and white. And the reason why is I'm a huge fan of Game of Thrones. I don't know if any of you are, into that show. I love it. It's my absolute favorite show. And there is a place in the Game of Thrones world called the House of Black and White. And I was thinking about that, which led me to think, oh, it would be cool if I did a house that was, purely black and white, or, as black and white as I could possibly make it. So that is why the exterior is 100% black and white. And the design is not, that's not Game of Thrones inspired really so much. It's just, I wanted to make something really geometric and interesting to look at. Which I think it turned out really well. I like it. um, so yeah, the exterior's coming together at this point, and you'll see I put out, like, I wanted to do an outdoor garden area and a couple of patio areas. So the just changing out the windows there to a black frame because I thought that made the whole I wanted everything to be very high contrast. I wanted to like the black to stand out starkly against the white and vice versa. And I don't know if maybe this is a little bit too old school for some of you, but or even if it still exists actually, but there used to be like a Windows theme called High Contrast, and it was just like where you could change your Windows style to all black and white. So that's kind of also part of where the name came from, at least. I try a little black and white staircase trick just to sort of go off of if you've ever seen Game of Thrones, like the House of Black and White has a black door and a white door. In the exterior, that's basically all the exterior really is of that place in Game of Thrones. But it didn't quite work right because of the way the banisters would come out like side by side. So I kind of scrapped that idea and just well, at least I didn't put them side by side. So the top floor is not like a furnished floor in this build. It's just sort of there for looks to flesh out the geometric pattern or style. You could fit in a staircase to the third floor if you want to expand. If you decide to sim in this house, you can see me adding some grass to some of the exterior spots. The roof doesn't stay green because like I said, that third floor, it's not functional. It's just there for looks, but the side garden does stay very green. So your Sims have a nice outdoor space. I built this in Willow Creek, so I can't recall the exact name of the lot, but it's next to, I believe, the Pancakes house. Using a chrome wall panel, I think is what it's called, from Get to Work, to add some interest and further just geometric design to the windows. And I super loved that. I think it's really cool. I do kind of change it a bit from where it is now, but I really liked that. I was like, ooh, that was a cool idea. I had done that in a build once before, but then I never finished that build, and I always meant to go back and try it out further. So yeah, it worked out really well in this particular build. Adding in a back porch and flooring, decided to do black flooring. Moving into the interior a bit now. So the whole first floor is sort of open floor plan. Going back to the windows again, I thought they were maybe a little bit too busy in the front, so I kind of downsized some of those bars. But yeah, figuring out where the stairs should go, figuring out the layout of the first floor now. The staircase, I always try and stick them in like sort of an out of the way area, but they do wind up at the front entrance with an open, like I don't know what that's called. Like when you can see from the first floor to the second floor. I don't know what it's called. I've got to look that up. Sorry. But it looks really cool in the screenshots. You'll see later the foyer. It'd be like if they walked in, they could see up to the second floor. This area here is eventually going to turn into a bathroom. One thing that, like I've always said, or said in previous speed builds, is I will build it, I'll film myself building it, and then I'll go in and play test it, and then we'll make some changes. So there's a little bit different from the video than what is on the gallery. And then, of course, I will share a link to this house on the gallery in case you want to download it into your game. I'll put a download link in the description below. And in case you do want to search for me on the gallery, the Sims 4 gallery, my EA ID is by Screenside, BYSCREENSIDE, all lowercase, just like the name of the channel. And you can find my builds for all my videos, plus builds that I did before I started filming my builds. There's not, well, yeah, there's quite a few builds, I'd say, over the just sort of like some crazy stuff, like a great big palace that I built, and just some other houses and things that I shared. I think there's maybe like a coffee shop and some other stuff, so check that out if you ever feel so inclined. Adding some additional windows to the exterior to bring more light into the interior, and again, just pulling more of that geometric look. I kind of have a tendency to like kind of pop in and out interior exterior as I'm going along. I like the little black white black or white black white window there. This is about the only landscaping I really do for this. Didn't want to go overboard with the landscaping because I feel like in modern builds, a whole lot of landscaping can kind of detract from, the very stark, contemporary look. This sim here, not actually my sim, just a random townie that had been generated into this house, and so I jumped into play mode. That way I can jump in and out of live mode and test things if I need to as I go along. Filling out the outdoor garden space. Just a little area with an easel and like a little seating area for your Sims to sit outside and enjoy the nice weather. I like to put easels on balconies because then if your Sims want to paint by reference, like you get a lot more options if you want to paint a landscape or a person walking by in the neighborhood or something like that. So if you see that I do that a lot, that's why that's actually a functional thing just for gameplay because it's just handy. So this is the first floor bathroom, and this door I don't think I ever show in the final video, but when I went in to play test, I realized that the door location was not ideal because it winds up being sort of like an ensuite bathroom, which I did not want it to be, so that door does get swapped. Typing in the ignore gameplay unlocks entitlement sheet, I think I almost always have to type that in more than once. Partly because the recording software that I use puts a watermark over the area where the cheat codes go in, and also just because that's a really long cheat to type out bb.ignore gameplay unlocks entitlement. I really feel like that could be a shorter cheat code. That would be nice. Yeah, so the first floor is very open floor plan. Put a little office area in the foyer, adding pod lighting, and it'll be living room toward the front, kitchen toward the back, and I do add in a bathroom as well on this floor, so it winds up being two baths, 3 beds, 2 baths. I used the I chose that door because there was a black frame. Now, in terms of the interior decor, I didn't stick with the black and white. I mean, I did somewhat, especially on the first floor, but I gave the individual bedrooms some personality beyond just black and white. So the bedrooms wind up being for a child. It's a yellow bedroom. It does still kind of come out kind of feminine looking, but I believe it could still be considered unisex. It's just that the kid stuff decor is kind of, I don't know, it seems like it's sort of either feminine or masculine, quote unquote. I mean, what's that really mean anyway? That's, gender is, I don't know. I'm not gonna get, I'm not gonna get too deep on that, but you know, I feel like a lot of the decorations either are gonna read as masculine or feminine. There's not a lot of really good unisex options, but I think a boy could be in that room. I think it's possible, but it does kind of, it's like purpley yellow. So, put in a little half wall to kind of separate out the space between the living room area and the kitchen and dining area. Um, did a little half wall fence that I think looks pretty cool. The back area is for the kitchen and dining room. Throwing in a trash can, very important, and making sure also that there's a mailbox while I'm at it, because you want to make sure that you put in the trash can in the mailbox. Those are a couple, like the only couple things that really you really need to make it a lot functional for a residential lot in The Sims 4. So right there is where the bathroom door will eventually go, where I just put that potted plant. So I just shifted the locations of the potted plant there and the door upstairs so that all Sims could access the bathroom, not just the kid, because that would be kind of odd for the child's room to be the one with the ensuite. Chose the very modern, very shiny black and white counters for obvious reasons, I should think. Um, I like the way that this kitchen turned out. I do use that pillar there to recess the fridge. Um, and I like the way that looks, so I threw in some cabinetry above it to make it look like there were cabinets stacked up above the refrigerator. It's very stark decor, so they've got to have some place to put their stuff. Um, the cabinets, got to take a moment and say, can be kind of frustrating because they don't stick out as far as the refrigerator does, or I use some full height cabinets, and the half height cabinets are like, so when I say full height cabinets, I mean cabinets that go all the way from the floor to the ceiling, and then the the cabinets that don't go all the way floor to ceiling are not as wide or don't stick out as far from the wall as the full height cabinets. So that's frustrating because I wanted to stack like floor to ceiling cabinets. Oh yeah, adding black floor here because of course black and white. I do go with a brown table with a black trim because you don't want, I mean, like everything to be black and white. That would just be a little bit boring. So I did add some pretty artwork and other things that, so it's not too black and white. I mean, it still holds up with the theme, but. And then I use, oh, this is where I'm using like the floor to ceiling cabinets, and well, not since they don't go all the way to the ceiling because of the first floor height, I tried to use other cabinetry above it. Jumped into live mode to make sure that they didn't disappear in live mode, but I didn't like the way that the upper cabinets don't quite line up, so I do take those out eventually. Using a rug from Get Together here to make a really just a bigger sized rug. I guess I could have taken that and sized it up instead of stacked them. So if you don't like the way that they look stacked, could size it up. And I use these dine out menus as wall art for the kitchen. I kind of like the idea of having like a menu for your guests if your guests come over. I remember seeing, this is going to be a kind of a big sidebar, but I remember years ago watching the DVD extras for the movie Once Upon a Time in Mexico. And the director, Robert Rodriguez, was talking about how he has like a menu for his house. So when his guests come over, they can like, request certain meals from him, or when he has people come stay with him. And I thought, oh, that's a really, really cute idea. Just like, to let your guests know like what you can cook or, I mean, I suppose you could always just tell them, but I don't know. I thought the menu idea, was really cute. Like, welcome to Chez Kinsey. Our specialty is the meatloaf. But I'm not a huge fan of meatloaf personally. I make a very good meatloaf because I got an awesome recipe for meatloaf from an old friend of mine. Um, but in general, I don't tend to like it. So, fun fact about me. Furnishing the living room, used a couple of these bookcases. I believe they're just base game bookcases. Um, I used a lot of furniture pieces that I wouldn't normally use in this build, like these coffee tables. I don't think I've ever used them before. These chairs I hardly ever use. Um, Putting in some incense there to easily influence your Sims moods. I like to keep that in mind because I like to use environment items to affect my Sims moods. Added in some columns around the first floor to just add more just sectioning to like kind of polish things off, and uh, did a lot of like black, like some areas of the wall are blacks, some areas of the wall are white. I actually do in the final build have a few more black walls than in the video. Adding in a wall of shelves here, so your Sims can put their collected items out. I went ahead and put a few things already out on there so that they don't look empty, but then, this is a place for your Sims to be able to, uh, add their personal touches, add your personal touches that you'll do in the game as you play. You might collect My Sims dolls or other things like gems or things that you want to put out on display. Like I've said before, I like to leave some space in my builds for you to put up your own pictures and items that you collect in the game. And I actually did go and play a little bit to take some photos of experimental dishes in the from the Dine Out game pack, because I was talking in one of my last build videos about how much I think those pictures of the experimental food like make really great decor for your game. So I thought, oh, I'll go throw those in. So those of you who have the Dine Out game pack, when you download the final version of this, you might see a couple of pictures of experimental food as a little bonus. I believe those probably transfer via the gallery just fine. Working on the kids' room now. Like I said, I went with a yellow, using the lights from the backyard stuff pack, putting out a night light so the monsters don't bother your Sims. And first I put in like a pink toy box, but then I thought, no, we'll do green to kind of in keeping with the idea that a boy or a girl could use this room. The walls do eventually wind up like a lemony yellow. And put out those I selected those pictures because of the yellow in them, but you can change them out if you have, if you want to make this more of a boys' room. I think that's the only sort of like girly looking thing that looks like it'd be like like a little like a girl band, or maybe like I don't know, kind of makes me think like of Kelly Kapowski from Saved by the Bell or something. Like that was what it like a type of photo, just like a from a TV show or something, like a kids TV show. Working on the master bedroom. This is where I believe if you did want to expand to the third floor, you could take like a little bit of a chunk out of the master bedroom because it is very large, and use some of that as space for your stairs. If you do want to do that, because like I said, that's just an empty third floor for you to work with and fill up if you want to do that. Adding in the closet, very important to have a closet. I use these curtains from Dine Out for sort of off to the side of the windows, um, in a way that it looks like maybe they've pulled the curtain. Like if you could add, like your sim, if they wanted privacy, could could pull it across the window a little bit further. Like it's bunched up, so you could, you know, pull it further to get privacy, but it's not completely covering the window. That's the idea. If you're looking at it and you're like, I don't get what she's doing with the curtains, that's what I'm doing with the curtains. Like they have their curtain a little bit open, but they could pull it close for more privacy if they so chose. Select a lot of abstract and geometric artwork for just to go along with, you know, the exterior style of the house. I do a lot of like, does this painting work here? Does it not? Moving it around, deciding what works best in what areas. So you'll see a lot in my videos. I'll pull out a painting and then I'll move around the house with the painting trying to decide if it works anywhere. And, you know, sometimes I'm like, oh, there, that's perfect. Or then I, you know, never maybe find a spot for it. Gotta take a second and just appreciate the lighting, the way that it's coming into this bedroom. It's so beautiful. This lighting update added so much to the game. I know it's been a while that it's been out, but I'm still not over being impressed by it. I think it's just so incredibly beautiful. This room really could be for a teenage girl sim, or it could be like a more grown-up sim. Um, didn't really design it with any particular age group in mind or anything like that. Just feel like it would, I don't know, I mean, I guess it kind of looks teen girlish, but not necessarily. So you could really, I mean, this could be a male sim or, you know, just whatever you wanted to put out there. Adding just a little bit of decor there to the hallway, and I did try to make some exterior lighting work, but I didn't feel like any of the options really went with the style of the build in terms of what we have for outdoor lighting. So I just kind of left it as is without the lights in the final build. So the lights you're seeing out now don't actually stay in the final version of the build. I feel like it lights up enough outside well enough, and I feel like it works. So getting ready to jump into the screenshots any second now. So here we have an exterior shot to begin with, and a shot of the foyer looking up into the second floor, the living room with the shelving on the side, and another view of the living room looking back into the dining kitchen area. You can see I did add a bar in the final build version. The upstairs hallway, the kids' room. I love the yellow. I think it's cute. And the extra bedroom, which could be for any sim. And finally, for bedrooms, the master bedroom and another exterior shot. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. See you next time.